Thank you so much.
Bye. Bye. Woo. Thank you, everyone. Hope you enjoyed.
Marissa, that was an absolutely wonderful way to welcome everybody. I think you got an almost comprehensive list of everybody. And maybe we could bring you back at the end for the goodbye song. But anyway, I really want to thank you for that wonderful way of kicking off the annual meeting. So anyway, everyone, it's so good to see so many friendly faces. I wanted to welcome you to Family Connections' first ever virtual annual meeting. I'm Lissy Rand. I'm the president of the Family Connections board. During this very strange time in our world, it is easy to feel disconnected from the people and the causes that we care so much about. And we're fighting that feeling of disconnection right now. And I just wanted to tell you that I'm so grateful that you're giving up a little bit of time of your afternoon today so that you can hear a little bit about what's going on at Family Connections and how we're continuing to engage families with young children by nurturing social connections, enhancing child development, and improving school readiness. We're going to start today with a bit of business to kick us off. And in keeping with our gratitude for our supporters, our first order of business are some very heartfelt thank yous. First, I'd like to thank Sharon Walters, who is Family Connections data specialist. I believe that Sharon volunteered for the very stressful job of managing the technology and the design of tonight's event. If everything goes smoothly, that's because of Sharon. If we encounter glitches, that's because of, well, it's 2020, so we'll do our best. And then I want to recognize that Family Connections couldn't do anything. We couldn't do our literacy work by bringing books and engaging activities to families with preschoolers. We couldn't do our school readiness work by building a bridge between what happens in kindergarten classrooms and what happens in families' homes. And we couldn't do our connecting work, like introducing parents with 9-month-olds who are struggling through teething and miserable so that they can exchange tips and tricks without our array of supporters. We couldn't do any of this without our supporters. So our sponsors use their roles in the community to bring resources and visibility to our efforts. Our Dad's Day Run sponsors this year stepped up in a serious way to help us make a virtual run, who could have imagined such a thing, more successful than we ever could have dreamt. Thank you to our Family Connections Dad's Day Run sponsors. Our private funders listed here support us financially and also provide consistent, wise counsel and important connections. Thank you so much for trusting us to help you carry out your missions. And our public funders. Public funders have really made our trajectory towards growth possible. They fund our programs and give us a platform for achieving our impacts. Thank you for working in collaboration with us to improve outcomes for the children and families in your communities. And next, I really want to thank my fellow board members. This group of people give up precious time, precious brain power, which is especially difficult during these exhausting Zoom-filled days, and also precious resources to provide governance and support for Family Connections. Family Connections is so fortunate to have this group of people on our side. I'd like to especially thank some of the little boxes and faces that I see here. Our officers, Tiffany Scruggs, Vice President of the board, Alexis Kim, who serves as secretary, and Scott Henry, who serves as treasurer. And I'm going to also take a minute to give a special thank you to our immediate past president, Andrew Bouthelette. If you know Andrew, as I know some of you on this call do, you know how Family Connections has benefited from his analytical mind, his natural orientation towards precision, his genuine curiosity, and thankfully, his willingness to do the hard work. During Andrew's tenure, the organization grappled with some big decisions. We developed and approved a new strategic plan. We faced both trials and tribulations over our program and headquarters space, and we were able to move forward on some big changes in that way. We are a different organization today than we were when Andrew first became president, and we face all of the uncertainties of the future stronger because of his leadership. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Lissy. Maybe I can just say a few short words. I want to thank you, the board, Joanne and all the staff, and of course our supporters, for the honor of serving as president over the last 2 years. And I had noted some of the things that you just noted that we've accomplished during that period of time, navigating the global pandemic and the recession successfully, the new strategic plan, consolidating our headquarters, some really important things that I'm confident will put the organization in a better place, more sustainable place. And we did this all while continuing to do the most important job of all, which was serve our families. So it was truly a team effort. I thank everyone for that. I've never been more confident in the leadership of this organization and its future. So the best is yet to come, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm going to take now just a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about Family Connections' current strategic direction. If we could have the next slide. Great, excellent. Thank you, Sharon. So our plans call for us to deepen our impact by knitting together our various programs so that ultimately we can offer a continuum of supports for families in Cleveland and in the inner ring suburbs with children from birth through age 6. We've got this vision where the same families who come to Baby and Me can find a safe and supportive place to play with their toddlers in their own neighborhoods. They can gain pre-literacy skills by participating in a home visiting program and rely on extra support in kindergarten classes without experiencing gaps in service because of funding. And to achieve this vision of a continuum of services, there are some important things that we've got underway. We really have dedicated time and effort, and will continue to do so, to refining our programming, making sure that we're delivering excellence consistently in the right places and with the right level of attention. We've needed to relocate our headquarters, freeing up time to pay attention to programs and impact, and becoming a part of the fabric of the city of Cleveland while maintaining our commitment to the Heights and the other inner ring suburbs. We need to attract attention to our programs, to our collaborative potential, and to our role in the communities. We need more supporters like people like you. And like all nonprofits, we need to deepen our financial support, leveraging the contributions that have been made by the institutions and organizations that we put up on the first couple of slides. We need to grow our base of individual supporters and raise more flexible dollars so that we can do more of what we do. And finally, we need to make sure that our already excellent staff has what they need to do their jobs and do them really well. And we need to make sure that our already fantastic board really understands and can occupy their roles fully. This is an ambitious agenda, and I'm so grateful that we can count on supporters like you to help us carry it out. And with that, I'm going to introduce Joanne Fetterman. Joanne, all of you probably know, is Family Connections Executive Director, and she is going to lead us through the rest of the program tonight. Joanne?
Thank you, Lissy. Thank you all. It's my honor and pleasure to be a part of Family Connections since 1993, when I was hired to be Executive Director of the Shaker Family Center. I've worked with outstanding people over these years, and so glad that many of you are able to join us today for this meeting. You've helped build a firm foundation that has sustained and nurtured us to where we are today and to where we're headed for the future. So Lissy has given a shout out to the board, to our sponsors, to our public funding partners. So now I have the honor to publicly thank our awesome staff, all 25 of them, who make our mission happen on a daily basis. So thank you all, for heartfelt gratitude from all of us. So speaking of our foundation, I've also had the pleasure to know both Carolyn Grossman and Barbara Sewells, the co-founders of Heights Parent Center, which merged with Shaker Family Center to become Family Connections of Northeast Ohio in 2010. Regretfully, Carolyn Grossman passed away this year, but we are lucky to have Barbara Sewells with us today, all the way from California. Barbara co-founded Heights Parent Center with her dear colleague, Carolyn Grossman, in 1982. Barbara, I'm going to turn it over to you and have you share a little bit about Heights Parent Center and now Family.
What Joanne asked me to do was to share with you the tribute I gave to Carolyn at her memorial service. So it's a little, it's not it's meant for memorial service, but it's also appropriate here because it tells the story of how Heights Parent Center got started. I went to a webinar just recently, and it was on telling your story and how important it is for nonprofits to have everybody involved understand and be able to tell the public what their purpose is, how they got started, what their goals are, what they do day to day, and have the same consistent message between everybody involved with the organization. So I'm going to tell you how it got started so you got your first story. So I guess I'm going to read it the way I said it then. I'm really honored that the family asked me to share about my dear friend Carolyn. I've been so blessed to call Carolyn a friend, but to me, she was more than a friend. Carolyn was my mentor and my teacher. We were a great team and worked on many mutual projects over the course of our 43-year friendship. She'd come up with an idea, we'd talk about it, and think of the contacts we needed to make, and then we would just do it. We were all action. We thought alike, and when we were passionate about something, there was no stopping us. I just got a quote from, I just saw a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. It says, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And we did. We believed in the beauty of our dreams, and we just did it. The program of which we were both most proud was the Heights Parent Center, now called Family Connections. So I'd like to share with you how it started, but first you need to know the setting. Yeah, just a second. Thank you. Carolyn's the kindergarten teacher, and I'm the relatively new learning disability teacher down the hall at Taylor Elementary School. We've been friends for a couple of years and shared a lot about early childhood development. Carolyn was always concerned about the kids who came to kindergarten with little preparation. In conferences, she'd stress to parents the importance of reading to their kids. She'd identify the ones with deficits, and often a couple of years later, they'd end up in my special ed class. We would both say, if only their parents knew how to teach them in their very formative first 3 years of life. So in March 1978, that's a long time ago, Carolyn and I were sitting together at an early childhood conference listening to Burton White, a prominent child development expert, describe his clinic in Brookline, Massachusetts. He taught parents how to teach their kids, working both in their homes and at his clinic. In the middle of the talk, Carolyn poked me in the ribs and said, "We need to do that." And I whispered back, "I'd have fewer kids in my LD class." With that, we were off and running. We couldn't recreate White's model because he had a clinic, so we would have to come up with our own. First, we presented the idea to your schools. I think your schools is still around. They did a community survey about the need for such a program. It came back overwhelmingly positive. And at that point, we knew we had to do it. We gathered representatives from local child-oriented organizations and created a group of about 17 supporters who would eventually become a board. During the summer of 1980, every Saturday morning, because we were all teachers or working, and that's the only time we had, every Saturday morning was spent at Carolyn's big boutique table with 6 of us writing the proposal that would eventually go to funders. Keep in mind that we had no model. We created the whole concept. Mel, Carolyn's husband, was always outside in his rose garden. Next, we took that proposal to foundations. The first grant we received was from Al Ratner. He gave us $1,000 and we were ecstatic. That was a big deal in those days. It was then that Carolyn taught me about leveraging. From then on, to whomever we approached for money, we told them that Al Ratner supported us and they should too, but we never told him how much he gave us. Our first board meeting was in December 2nd, 1981. We had about 20 people there, and we had collected by that time $18,000. We needed $32,000 to open, according to our proposal. We debated and debated whether we should open or not. And we ended up deciding that we would hire an executive director by February of the next year, which we did, but we didn't quite open yet. It took us 4.5 years from the start to the grand opening, and the grand opening was in November 1982. That was just in time for my daughter, who we adopted in 1984, to be in the infant class. From that time until she aged out, she and I attended classes at the Parent Center. As you all know, HPC eventually merged with the Shaker Family Center to become Family Connections, which is now 38 years old and going strong, thanks to all of you. After our baby was launched, we remained steadfast friends. After Taylor closed, we both taught at Coventry until Carolyn retired. My husband and I would see Carolyn and Mel at the Playhouse. We'd go to the Parent Center to visit and have lunch. We always celebrated our birthdays together. They're only one day apart at the end of April. Even after I moved to California, we kept in close contact. Whenever she came to visit her son Rick here, we'd have lunch. And when I went to Cleveland, we'd gather a group of teachers for lunch and sharing. I miss my dear friend. I use the skills she taught me almost daily. Skills like hard work, honesty, integrity, persistence, curiosity, directness, negotiating, and confidence to trust your intuition. They're all needed when you work with nonprofits, which I do a lot of out here in California. Thank you, and God bless you, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Taking your time to join us, and stay on the call, please, if you can, because it's so important for us. We've got our past, and I will talk a little bit about the present, and then you'll join us with the future. So, it's so much about relationships and everything that you were talking about. And, you and Carolyn knew that the earliest years of a child's life can determine their entire future, and that the twin influences of parenting and education are key determinants of health and well-being. From our earliest years as an organization, we understood that you can make a much greater and longer lasting impact by building on a family's strengths, by supporting both the parent and child, and by building relationships and creating connections based on trust and compassion. As a matter of fact, we are part of a national family strengthening movement that identifies 5 protective factors that, when well established, are known to diminish the likelihood of child abuse and neglect, as well as build family strengths and a family environment that promotes optimal child and adult development. All of our programs are well grounded in the 5 protective factors that you see on the slide. So let's go forward and talk about our current programming. We have family literacy playrooms to support early literacy skills, social connections for both parent and child, and parenting support. Then we go to Spark, supporting partnerships to assure ready kids, to help preschoolers be ready for kindergarten, and coach parents to become actively involved in their child's development. Family School Connection is to strengthen the kindergarten child's grade level reading and coach parents on how to reinforce those skills at home. And last but not least, and we don't have a slide for this because it is a new program, is the Parent Cafe to connect families with other families in conversations that are based on those 5 protective factors. So, you know, the pandemic has not stopped us. It's definitely changed our format and service delivery, but we really quickly pivoted, thanks to our staff, to be able to provide services through our continuum of programs. We are staying in contact with families by phone calls, emails, texts, Google Hangouts, Facebook Messenger, FaceTime, and porch visits. Families meet up with one another on scheduled Zoom sessions. Packets of materials, books, and activities are dropped off at prearranged times so that our staff can work with families on the academics, but also ask how they're doing during this stressful time. Ongoing home visits are still virtual, but actually contact between family and our staff has increased over time. So through all these programs that we've talked about, we advance our mission and we see real impact in the community. I know you do also. We use qualitative and quantitative evaluation methods. And you can see that we do have we do have impact on children entering kindergarten. We are in the process of working with Kent State to see what kind of impact we've made on the 3rd and 5th graders who received our Spark services as preschoolers. So stay tuned. I will make sure that you get that information. So Family Connections is often the first place a family turns and a most trusted resource. This allows us to see and evaluate the needs for our programs, but also provide a warm handoff for other services that our community partners address, like family stress and instability, food insecurity, lack of transportation, and technological issues right now, especially during COVID. Our work with the Cleveland Central Promise neighborhood and with Slavic Village P16 are examples of the kind of strategic and structured collaboration that really makes a difference. We can do so much more by collaborating. So we know that there are 2,000 days between when a child is born and enters kindergarten. Given what science knows about brain development, there is a sense of urgency about this time period, and also a sense of anxiety because of the widening achievement gap among children entering kindergarten. Add COVID-19 and the heightened racial and social inequalities to the picture, and you can begin to understand what it must be like to parent a child during this climate. Healthy families are the building blocks of productive communities and ultimately a strong nation. But this cannot be achieved without addressing and dismantling racism. So we are doing our part by engaging a consultant, Tamika Taylor of Compass Consultant, to conduct a diversity, equity, and inclusion audit and plan. We are taking a deep look into all aspects of our organization to ensure that we are practicing DEI in everything we do. This is a collaborative effort with staff working closely with Tamika Taylor. Many of you on this call have made it possible, and we thank you for enabling us to do this. So as you can imagine, our services are needed more than ever before to support families. And so we are particularly thankful to all of you for your financial and emotional support. Lissy.
My mute button was stuck. Thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. So with all that we're doing and all that there is still to do to help families, help children, we need more people like you to get to know Family Connections. Our ask to you tonight is to please tell your friends, tell your coworkers, your colleagues, and your neighbors about Family Connections. In supporting this organization, you can influence a family's trajectory, helping to build lifelines and a village of support. We think that by engaging with Family Connections, your help today is shaping the community that we'll all live in tomorrow. Sharon is going to put a link into our online giving portal into the chat. We hope that you'll click on it or copy and paste it into your browser and use it to contribute to the organization tonight. We hope that you'll continue to talk about Family Connections and the work that we do, and that you'll stay in touch with us, giving us your ideas and your energy as we move forward. And with that, that's the end of our very short program. I really want to thank everybody for attending, for your attention at the end of this somewhat gloomy day. That's all. I just want to say thank you and goodbye.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Lissy. Thanks, Joanne.
Thank you, Andrew.
Bye.
Anybody want to stay on and say goodbye? Help yourself.